So in continuation with our previous class, we will continue with the derivation of Hartnell governor. So this is the graphical representation of a Hartnell governor, minimum position of the Hartnell governor and maximum position of the Hartnell governor. So you can see many forces are acting on this Hartnell governor at minimum position and maximum position. So here in this derivation, we will be deriving the equation for the stiffness of the spring. Okay. So you can see many forces here: Fc1, mg plus s1 by 2. Similarly, Fc2, mg plus s2 by 2. So now we will see what is the effect of all these forces, and we will be deriving the equation for the compression of the spring, the stiffness of the spring. Okay. So now before starting the derivation, we will see the nomenclature. So what are all the, so this is the schematic representation of Hartnell governor. This I have explained in the previous video itself. So this is the explanation for that Hartnell governor, spring loaded governor as shown in figure. All these things I have explained in the previous video itself. It consists of two bell crank levers pivoted at the points O, O to the frame. The frame is attached to the governor spindle and therefore rotates with it. Each lever carries a ball at the end of the vertical arm OB and a roller at the end of the horizontal arm OR. The helical spring in compression provides equal downward force on the two rollers through a collar on the sleeve. The spring force may be adjusted by screwing up a nut or down on the sleeve. So this part I have explained in the previous video itself. So now we will start with the derivation. So what do you mean by small m? Small m is the mass of the ball, mass of each ball, that is a governor ball in terms of kg. Now what is capital M? Capital M means it is the mass of the sleeve, that is the central sleeve in terms of kgs. R1. R1 is the minimum radius of rotation in meters, and R2 is the maximum radius of rotation in meters. Minimum radius of rotation for minimum position and maximum radius of rotation for maximum position, R1 and R2 respectively. So what is omega 1? Omega 1 is the angular speed of the governor at minimum radius in radians per second. So in general, to say omega 1 is the angular speed of the governor at its minimum position. Omega 2 is the angular speed of the governor at its maximum position. So omega 1, omega 2 are in terms of radians per second. So what is capital S1? So capital S1 is spring force exerted on the sleeve at minimum speed. S2 is the spring force exerted on the sleeve at maximum speed or at maximum speed at maximum position. So S1 and S2 are expressed in terms of newtons. So what is FC1? FC1 is the centrifugal force at its minimum position. FC2 is the centrifugal force at maximum position in terms of newtons. So what is the equation for FC1? M into omega 1 square into R1. Similarly for FC2, M into omega 2 square into R2. So general equation for centrifugal force is Fc is equal to M into omega square into R. So respectively for omega 1 and omega, so for Fc1 and Fc2 it is M into omega 1 square into R1 and M into omega 2 square into R2. So now what is small s? It is the stiffness of the spring. So this is the notation for which we will be deriving the equation. This is the stiffness of the spring or the force required to compress the spring by 1 mm. Now what is small x? It is the length of the ball arm or the length which is with respect to the vertical arm, okay, in terms of meters. Y is the length of the horizontal arm or the length which is with respect to its horizontal length. So that we call it as sleeve arm. So what is small r? It is the distance of fulcrum O from the governor axis, or to say in terms of simple terms, it is the radius of rotation in equilibrium position or in its mid position. R is the radius of rotation at its mid position. So now we'll start with the derivation. So first what we do, we consider the forces acting at the bell crank lever. So you can see the figure. So there is a term called as H. What is that H? It is a compression of the spring, overall compression of the spring from minimum position to maximum position. So in general, H is equal to what? H1 plus H2. That you can see the figure, and you can see the figure, and you will be getting that. So now, if H is a compression of the spring, when the radius of rotation changes from R1 to R2, then first we consider the minimum position. For a minimum position, what happens? The radius of rotation will change from R to R1. Okay, R is the radius of rotation at its mid position. So when it changes from mid position to minimum position, how do we write the equation for compression of the spring? The compression of the spring or lift of the sleeve is given by what? H1 by y is equal to A1 by x is equal to R minus R1 by x. Okay, so H1 4 divided by y is equal to A1 by x, because x1 is equal to A1. So how do we write A1 in terms of R and R1? You can see the figure, and you will be coming to know what is it. A1 is equal to R minus R1 by x. So this is your equation number 1. Similarly, for maximum position, when the radius of rotation changes from R to R2, R to R2, that is from mid position to maximum position. So the compression of the spring or the lift of the sleeve, how can we write? It is H2 by y is equal to A2 by x. H2 by y is equal to A2 by x. How can we write A2 in terms of R? A2 is R2 minus R divided by x. This is your equation number 2. Now we add both the equations. Adding equations 1 and 2. What happens? H1 plus H2 by y is equal to R2 minus R1 by x. So from the figure we know what is that? H is equal to what? H1 plus H2. So I substitute H is equal to H1 plus H2. H by y is equal to R2 minus R1 by x, because H is equal to H1 plus H2. Next I reorder it to just to keep the equation for H. H is equal to what? R2 minus R1 into y by x. This is our equation number 3. Now what we do, we take the moments about point O, both for minimum position and maximum position we take. First what we do, we take the moments for minimum position at point O. You can see there are many forces acting. So first write about mg plus s1 by 2 into what is the length or distance into y1. Mg plus s1 by 2 into y1. So which is the force acting, outward force? Fc1 into distance is how much? x1 minus downward force mg into length is a1. So mg plus s1 by 2 into y1 is equal to fc1 into x1 minus mg into a1. So I reorder the terms again. The term, what happens? Mg plus s1 is equal to 2 divided by y1 into fc1 into x1 minus mg into a1. So this is your equation number 4. So now we take the moments for maximum position. Minimum position. Next, what is that? Similarly, mg plus s2 by 2. Mg plus s2 by 2 into the length or distance y2 is equal to fc2 into x2 plus mg into a2. Same thing, I rearrange the terms. Mg plus s2 is equal to 2 divided by y2 into fc2 into x2 plus mg into a2. This is your equation number 5. Subtracting equation 4 from equation 5. What happens? S2 minus S1 is equal to 2 divided by y2 into fc2 into x2 plus mg into a2 minus 2 divided by y1 into fc1 into x1 minus mg into a1. We know that S2 minus S1 is equal to H into S, and H is equal to R2 minus R1 into Y by X. This we have derived it previously. I substitute this there. What happens? S is equal to S2 minus S1 by H. What happens if I substitute H? It becomes S2 minus S1 divided by R2 minus R1 into X by Y. So in this, what we do, we neglect the obliquity of the arms. By neglecting the obliquity of the arms, what we do, we consider that X is equal to X1 is equal to X and Y is equal to Y1 is equal to Y. Then what happens if we don't consider the obliquity? What happens for the equations, previous equations? The previous equation will become mg plus s1 by 2 into y is equal to fc1 into x. By real terms, what happens? Mg plus s1 is equal to 2 into fc1 into x by y. So this is your equation number 6. I am just taking that x1 is equal to x2 is equal to x and y1 is equal to y2 is equal to y, and I am substituting it. Similarly, for maximum position, what happens? Mg plus s2 divided by 2 into y is equal to fc2 into x. After rearranging, mg plus s2 is equal to 2 into fc2 into x by y. So this is your equation number 7. So next what I do, I subtract equation 6 from equation 7. So s2 minus s1 is equal to mg s2 minus s1 is equal to 2 into fc2 minus fc1 into x by y. Equation number 8. So this we know, we have derived previously. What's that? S2 minus S1 is equal to H into S and H is equal to R2 minus R1 into Y by X. This I substituted here on this equation. S is equal to S2 minus S1 by H. It becomes 2 into FC2 minus FC1 divided by R2 minus R1 into X by Y whole square. So this is the equation for stiffness of the spring, S, stiffness of the spring. So as I have told, unless otherwise stated, the obliquity effect of the arms and the moment due to weight of the balls is neglected in actual practice. And whenever we take friction into account, the weight of the sleeve is replaced by mg plus or minus f. Mg is replaced by mg plus or minus f when you take friction into account. So this completes the derivation of Hartnell governor for stiffness of the spring.